Hey, welcome to this part of my page. If you found this randomly, this is a part of my page where I like to feature local people that are really cool. And whether you're looking for real estate or something finance related, or even maybe a profession that you might not have known about, there's some cool local people. So keep checking this page as it refreshes a lot. Today, I'm excited to talk to Jeremy Bailey, the flying realtor. So I'm excited to have you on, and thanks for having a conversation with me, Jeremy.
Well, thanks for having me on, Suzanne. I was thrilled that you asked me to be on the show, and I love everything you're doing with your YouTube channel. So I'm just glad that I could help be a part of it, and thank you for having me be a part of it.
Thanks so much. So, hey, you got to talk to me and to anyone that's watching this about how the whole flying realtor started, because I've said this so many times to you, how amazed I am by what I met you for coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You said, I'm thinking of flying, and then boom. So talk about that.
All right. So it didn't just start there. It really started when I was a kid. I've always wanted to fly ever since I was in kindergarten. And my cousin, who at the time was a C-130 pilot for the military, had come into my kindergarten class for career day. And my jaw just dropped. And I saw that. I said, I need to fly someday. And, I ended up, as I got older, I graduated high school, went to college for engineering, did that for about a decade, transitioned into real estate, which I absolutely love. And I never got around to flying. And then a couple of years ago, I said, you know what? I need to stop flying now. And I didn't, because life gets busy and everything gets in the way. And then last year, when you and I met, I said, you know what? I'm thinking about flying. And this time, I'm doing it. And I'm always looking to make my life more interesting, more fun. I work hard. I work like you. I work 7 days a week. I don't take many days off or many weeks off of vacation per year. And even when I do, we're still working, right? So I said, you know what? I want to learn how to fly. But flying really ties into real estate for me, because that bird's eye view, when you're looking at all of this real estate from the sky, the earth is just amazing. Real estate's beautiful on the ground and in the air. And I said, you know what? This needs to be a part of my business. I need to be something. And, I was talking to my wife and some other people. I said, I need to be the flying realtor. I said, that's what I need to do, because it's fun. It's a chance for me to get up and look at clients' houses or things from the air. If clients want to come with me, they can jump in and we can go for a cruise around. And it's a fun way to take a business that can be very stressful and make it just a little bit less stressful.
Yeah, and be able to have a hobby. I think sometimes for people that are crazy type A's and motivated, they a lot of times put that stuff on the back burner. Oh, when I have X or when I get here. And I like how you've got, it's like a lifestyle business, because you're able to do something that kind of feeds your soul,
yes.
And you get such joy from it. Talk about lake living. I think that's really cool too.
Yep. So as you know, and everyone else is about to know, I live on a lake. I've lived on a lake since I was about 4 years old in the summer times. My parents still have a summer cottage on the lake that I currently live on now. So I grew up on this lake. I've lived on a couple of different lakes, and I specialize in lakefront, waterfront living. So much so that a few years ago, my friend Scott, who's the broker of Lakefront Living Realty, shout out Scott, he had reached out to me. He said, I noticed you've been listing a bunch of waterfront properties. What can you tell me about them? Do you feel that, this is kind of a niche of yours? And I explained to him my whole life story, and he goes, well, listen, we need some help in Rhode Island, and we'd like to partner with you so you can help our Rhode Island clients, that are looking for that lakefront experience. And I said, absolutely, I'm in 100%. This is awesome. Thanks for thinking of me. Let's partner up. Let's do it. So, that was, I'm going to say about 5 years ago. Maybe it was longer. I'm losing track of time these days. 2020 feels like it's been 10 years, but every year prior to that feels like it's been about 3 months. So, time kind of escapes me, especially when you're doing what you love, right? I mean, time kind of just goes by and you don't think about it because you're loving every day of your life. And I love it even more when I get to show lakefront property. So, most of the time I'm wearing a polo shirt and khakis, polo and jeans. A lot of times my waterfront clients, they see the dress down version of Jeremy, because when I show up to a waterfront house and I look at the water, I'm assessing not just the house. The house is a part of it. The land is a big part of it, but how you're going to be able to use that waterfront is a big part of it. So I'll wear my board shorts and my Crocs. And when I show up to that showing, we'll go through, we'll look at everything. I'm like, all right, let's go check out the water. And I'll just walk myself right into the water, check things out. Unless it's a big drop off, then maybe I'll just dip my toes or something. And I'm always, you see me at those showings, I'm at the end of the dock and I'm just kind of doing this. And people probably think I'm weird. I'm looking at fish and I'm like, no, I'm kind of looking at the bottom. I'm checking out the landscape here. And I'm going to tell you what I think you can do for a dock and what you're going to do for your boats. And, I'm trying to put the whole lakefront living experience together for you guys. And, that's definitely, one of the parts of my business that I really specialize in. And I just love it a lot.
Yeah. And I can tell, like, you're a guy that just has a lot of passion, has a lot of joy. And when you had told me your background before about being an engineer, did you feel stifled in that field?
Yes. Now, disclosure, I love engineering to this day. I still love engineering. I was a computer engineer, so I wrote software and I worked with electrical engineers. We developed all these cool products, some for the military, GPS products, and it was really cool stuff. But I felt like I wasn't helping anyone. I guess in the beginning of my career, I felt like I was helping because I started working right before 9/11, and I was helping develop all these ruggedized, militarized products for primarily the Army and the military that were helping to keep them safe overseas. So I was helping in that regards, but after a while, I was just looking for more. I wanted to work directly with the people that I was helping, and it wasn't doing it for me. So I started when the housing market crashed, kind of a weird time to get into real estate, somewhat. But my wife and I, we started buying properties, flipping them, rehabbing them. We bought rental properties. And what happened was I became the go-to guy for all my friends and family. They'd call me up like, oh, I'm buying this house, or I'm thinking about selling my house. What do you think of this? And I would give them my unofficial advice. And then it clicked. I said, you know what? I just need to go get my real estate license because at the time, I wasn't quite sure where it was going to take me. So I got my real estate license. So I became the go-to guy for the friends and family where I could legally license to help them. And from there, I was doing real estate and engineering for a couple of years. And then I transitioned to 100% real estate. I don't know, I think it was back in 2013, and the rest is history. I've just been directly helping people with the largest investment / expense of their life, which I just love because it's such a serious thing to do. And I want to make sure that people understand what they're doing and they're making the right decisions. And I help them through, from step A to step Z. I've always had a drive. I've always loved working. I've loved excelling. I was a little bit lazy maybe when I was in teenage or high school years and stuff, but I went to college, I had my fun, but I worked hard. I made honor societies and electrical engineering honor societies and all this stuff, Dean's List. And I like to excel. I just like to work hard. I like a challenge, and it doesn't matter how hard it is. I'm not going to quit. So that drive has always been in me, and real estate actually ended up being a little bit tougher than I expected, but I love it because I like a challenge, and it's always throwing you a curveball. And as a former baseball player, in high school, and since I was a kid, I played baseball, go ahead, throw me the curveball. I'm going to take it to the opposite field, but I'm going to make something of it, and we're going to make this work. So I can't explain my drive except I love to work. I love challenges, and fortunately, I love what I do.
Yeah. And don't you think too, like probably with having some of that engineering part in your brain, and like you're solutions based, right? You're always
Yes.
probably thinking that there's a way instead of like hitting a wall, you might think of something completely different, right?
I have a tendency to drive the other professionals that I work with crazy sometimes because they come up like, hey, I'm running into this issue right here. I said, what about this? 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 And no one's like, no. But every once in a while, they're like, oh, that'll work. So I don't like to give up. I don't like to quit. So like you said, I'm solutions based. And if you tell me can't, I love it when people tell me can't because I get all fired up and said, oh, yeah? Which made me a difficult child to raise maybe. But as an adult, I'm like, don't tell me can't. We're going to figure this out. There are very few instances where can't applies.
I think you and I are alike in that. There's just something about the word no that just gets me going. Yeah. It's weird. Yeah. If it's too easy, there's an issue, right?
Of course.
Yeah. How'd you come up with that logo?
So a friend of mine who I believe used to work with you in a former company that you worked for, Shalimar.
Yep.
I met her. I was taking a continuing education course on social media marketing, and this was at the time where I was working on rebranding myself as the Flying Realtor that you can see on the screen. And I saw her, I said, listen, after class, I said, I'd like to talk to you about rebranding and hiring you. And she goes, all right, well, let's get together. So we got together and I shared my vision and she perked up, and I'm sure she loves all her clients. We all do. But I was telling her about the flying and stuff. And I just said, you run with it and I'll give you some ideas along the way, but just run with this and show me what you got. And they were the ones who came up with this whole branding with, you got my little avatar there, the Flying Realtor, or Bitmoji, whatever they're calling them nowadays,
So we know you love lake homes, right? And
Yeah.
and working in that capacity. Are there any other type of either clients or situations that you're like, man, this is my jam? Like when the types that you enjoy the most?
Yeah, there's a few things. So I mentioned I'm an investor. So I own rental property. I've sold off most of my stuff, but I still kept my absolute favorite 3-family that I have now. And eventually I'll add on to my portfolio again. But I like working with investors, especially new investors, because, we'll talk and they'll have an idea of what they think investing is going to be. And I said, well, let me share some of my experience with you. And, oh, did you think of this? Did you think of that? Have you thought of that? And I like helping them because hopefully I'm helping them create a better picture of what it's going to be like to be a landlord, what the actual cash flow numbers are going to be, not your spreadsheet cash flow numbers that we all like to look at, the rosy numbers, I like to call them. And so I really like working with the investors. And another thing I really enjoy working with, and this is probably one of the most stressful transactions that any realtor will do, and that's helping families move up or move down. So you have someone that's moving out of a house and into another house. So you're coordinating 2 closings and a whole big move in a family in between. And I love it. One of the first ones I did years ago, it was a friend of my wife's and a friend of mine as well too. Great couple, wonderful kids. And at the end of that transaction, they said, I don't know how you do this. We were so stressed out that whole time and you were cool as a cucumber. And you just said, nope, we're going to figure this out. And you just helped us, get through it right to the very end. And I said, well, I was probably just as stressed as you were because it was one of the first times I had done it. I don't like to show stress, but when I get it, I'm like, all right, I'm going to be better and this is going to make me better and I'm going to ace this, whatever problem it is. So I really enjoy helping people in the transition housing, selling one, buying another.
I think that's what makes you just, such a delight to work with, and where people can see the fun, but then they can also see that, hey, this guy knows his shit. You know it, and you know what you're talking about. But I think you put clients at ease because they see that you're having fun doing it. Have you ever been around someone that is probably good at their job, but they're so freaking stressed?
Yes.
And it's like, even if they're the expert or amazing at it, like you don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah, right. It's the energy that we absorb each other's energy when we work together, whether it be a client or on a professional level, like you and I, we work together. You absorb each other's energy. So if you've got someone that's always stressed and always kind of tweaking a little bit, well, that's someone like us. It's like, whoa, hold on. We're problem solvers here. We're going to be upbeat about this. We're going to do this. We don't have time for that. You're too negative. My wife and she's generally, I call it the worrier, but she's not. She's the one who's more concerned and more like, I really need to see the plan and how it's going to go. I don't think like that. And here's why. In real estate, here's how we want the plan to go. It's going to go from here and step. But in the middle, we're going to have these blips and bloops and blips and bloops and blips and bloops. And I can't predict that. And every situation is different. Every transaction is something I've never run into before, or potentially something I've never run into before. And that's okay. I'm not going to stress about it. Be like, all right, this is new. How are we going to solve this problem? And I just like to solve problems and just check it off and keep moving forward. It just doesn't bother me. I absolutely love it.
And that's, I think, what's amazed me with you is, again, I know I go back to your engineering background because you're not the typical engineer. With the engineering background, I think engineers need certainty and need to know that X plus X equals this or whatever, or 1 + 1 = 2. And in real estate, 1 + 1 might not equal 2. It might equal 16.
Yes.
I'm making things up. Or you may have 16 deals that you think are going to close, but all of a sudden they don't, or they get put off. And I think that's the uncertainty sometimes is not good for someone that has that type of background. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
Because it's not very linear. It is like this sometimes.
It is. And it, like you said, it's certain personalities that can handle that will thrive on that. But if you're a person who's like, I'm going to go from this step to this step to this step to this step, and it's going to be done, real estate, mortgages, this industry is not for you. It's just not. Let someone like me and Suzanne help you out, because we live and we thrive off of this stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. I think if I were to ask you, or you were to ask me, hey, what are you going to close in April of 2021? What would you say?
I don't know.
Me too. Right?
Yeah.
But we're still confident that we'll be able to pay our mortgages and
Yes.
be able to eat and have a good time and enjoy life.
That's right. That's right. We have our business, we have our sphere and our database and our leads, and we're helping them all, and we just keep churning. And as more people need help, we help more people, and it's kind of on a month by month basis, and that's just what it is. And some people don't like that uncertainty at all. People said, right. well, what if the market crashes? I said, all right, do people still buy and sell houses when the market crashes? Yeah. Okay. If the market crashes, maybe I'll make less money, but there'll still be houses that are bought and sold. So I'm not quite sure what your concern is.
It's true. Hey, I am so psyched that I got a chance to chit chat with you and now have you on here forever on my YouTube. But I want you to share your series that you do and ways that people can find you as well.
Sure. So if you go to facebook.com/Jeremy Bailey Realtor, so facebook.com/Jeremy Bailey Realtor, you'll see yourself and you'll see Suzanne on there. I have a Tuesdays tips section, and they don't come out every Tuesday. Life does get busy, but when we have some really good golden nuggets of information to share, I produce that. And I also had a little fun this year where in the beginning of COVID, I don't know if you know who John Krasinski is from The Office. He's Jim from The Office. He started this segment because there was so much negativity in the world. He started this segment called Some Good News. So I completely ripped that off with some inspiration from another realtor who I know that's down in Texas. And he created Some Good News San Antonio. And I saw that and I said, I have to do that. So I created a little segment called Some Good News Rhode Island. Even though I'm licensed in Mass, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, I wanted to focus in on Rhode Island just 'cause it's so teeny tiny, compared to the rest of the country. And I did a couple of episodes of that. I'm working on another episode right now. And so that's something else that was kind of fun for me. Not as much real estate related as it was showing the world what's out there with the good people that are out there in your neighbors, in local businesses. So it's kind of a different take on real estate and not just the buying and selling of homes. And on my YouTube page, I have piloting properties. So you'll see a lot of the videos that I just spoke about are also on my YouTube page. So if you go to YouTube and you search for piloting properties, you'll see Jeremy Bailey, your flying realtor there. And you'll get to see some other episodes that I did because that's right. So in January, I started the piloting property series. And I'm not sure where I want to go with that, but there's a few episodes up there where you can jump in the plane with me. And I've flown to some other airports and I did a little flying. So you can see those on my YouTube channel.
I'll tell you, I enjoy when I get on there and I watch the videos. And anyone that's watching this, seriously, like Jeremy's page, follow him. I'm delighted and grateful that we get to do Tuesdays tips together because it's just, and just talking to him and you'll see, the energy is contagious. He asks a ton of questions and just a overall great guy. So thank you so much for saying yes to this.
Well, thanks for having me on, and everything you just said in the reverse, likewise, because like you said, we're similar personalities. We like solving problems and we like helping people. And that's what people like you and I do. That's what makes us successful is helping people.
Yeah.
That's what drives us.
Yeah, it's what it's about. And everything else takes care of itself. If you just put that first, it's everything else takes care of itself.